Sheila woke up to the soft light filtering through the thin curtains of her small apartment. The room was simple, with a small bed, a worn-out wooden table, and a few books stacked in the corner. She stretched her arms and smiled quietly, ready to begin another day. Though her life was not easy, she carried a kindness in her heart that made her face each morning with hope. Sheila was a young woman in her early 20s, working as a cashier at a small grocery store in her town. She was also a college student, attending classes in the evening after her work shifts. The job was not glamorous, and the pay was small, but Sheila never complained. She knew it was the way she could support herself and continue her education. Every morning she woke up early, preparing a simple breakfast of toast and tea. Sometimes, when money was tight, she would skip breakfast to save for her bus fare. But she never let herself feel sorry for her situation. Instead, she focused on the little joys she found throughout her day. The smile of a customer, the kind word from a friend, the quiet moments between busy hours. Her apartment was modest and cozy. It was not fancy, but it was her safe place. She kept it clean and neat, even if some of the furniture was old or chipped. On her small table, she kept a photo of her family. They lived far away in another town, and she missed them dearly, but she was determined to build a better future for herself. Her parents had worked hard all their lives, and Sheila wanted to make them proud. At the grocery store, Sheila greeted every customer with warmth. She believed everyone deserved kindness, no matter their background or mood. Some customers were grumpy or impatient, but Sheila never lost her patience. She understood that life could be hard for many people, just as it was for her. When she saw a child shyly holding a coin, hoping to buy a small treat, Sheila often quietly added a few cents to help, without making a fuss. Her coworkers liked her because she was humble and hardworking. She never showed off or acted better than anyone else. She was always willing to help others, whether it was covering a shift or listening when someone needed to talk. Sheila was the kind of person who made a quiet difference in the lives around her. After work, Sheila hurried to her college classes. The day was long and tiring, but she loved learning. She was studying to become a teacher because she wanted to help children grow and succeed. She remembered how her own teachers had inspired her when she was young, and she dreamed of being that kind of light for others. Sometimes Sheila's friends invited her out for dinner or movies, but she often declined. She had to save money for tuition and books, and every rupee counted. She did not mind missing out on fun because she believed hard work now would bring happiness later. Still, she never felt lonely because she had a kind heart and a strong spirit. One evening, after classes, Sheila sat in the small park near her apartment. The sun was setting, casting orange and pink colors across the sky. She watched children, playing in couples walking hand in hand. She thought about her future and the life she wanted to build. It was not easy, but she was ready for the challenges ahead. Sheila's kindness extended beyond her family and friends. She volunteered at a local shelter on weekends, helping serve food to those in need. She believed that everyone deserved respect and care, no matter how difficult their situation. At the shelter, she met many people who reminded her of her own struggles. She listened to their stories and offered what help she could, even if it was only a warm smile or a comforting word. Her neighbors admired her for her gentle spirit. Mrs. Kapoor, an elderly woman living next door, often asked Sheila for help with groceries or small chores. Sheila was always ready to assist without hesitation. She felt that kindness was a gift she could give freely, without expecting anything in return. Though money was tight, Sheila never lost her sense of gratitude. She kept a small journal where she wrote down things she was thankful for each day. Sometimes it was as simple as the taste of fresh fruit, or the sound of birds in the morning. Other times it was a kind word from a stranger, or a good grade on a difficult exam. Writing helped her stay positive and focused on her goals. Her days were full of small challenges, but Sheila never gave up. She knew that success did not come easily, and she was willing to work hard for every step forward. Even when she felt tired or discouraged, she reminded herself of the dreams she held close. One rainy morning, Sheila was walking to work when she saw a young boy struggling with a broken umbrella. His clothes were wet, and he looked cold and scared. Without hesitation, Sheila took off her own jacket and gave it to him. She walked with him to the nearest bus stop and made sure he was safe before continuing her journey. It was a small act, but it showed her true nature, always ready to help, no matter the cost. At work, Sheila continued her routine with the same quiet strength. She smiled at customers, handled the busy hours, and kept her spirits high. When a new manager arrived, impressed by Sheila's dedication, he offered her extra hours and a small raise. It was not much, but it helped her pay for an important textbook she needed. College life was not easy either. Sometimes the lessons were hard to understand, and Sheila felt the pressure of balancing work and study. But she found joy in her favorite subjects, literature and history. She loved reading stories from different times and places, imagining the lives of people long ago. It reminded her that every person's story mattered. Her classmates respected Sheila for her honesty and kindness. They often asked her for help with assignments, and she gladly shared her notes. She believed that success was sweeter when shared with others. One weekend, Sheila's college organized a community event to clean the local park. Sheila joined eagerly, working alongside her friends and neighbors. They picked up trash, planted flowers, and painted benches. The park looked brighter and more welcoming by the end of the day. Sheila felt proud to be part of something that brought people together. Despite her busy life, Sheila always made time for her family. She called her parents every week, sharing stories about her day and listening to their advice. They encouraged her to keep going and promised to support her as much as they could. Sheila knew that their love was a powerful force behind her strength. Sometimes, Sheila's thoughts wandered to a future where she could help others in bigger ways. Maybe one day she would open a school or start a program for children who needed extra help. She dreamed of a life filled with purpose and kindness. Her humble beginnings did not hold her back. Instead, they made her more determined to rise above challenges and make a difference. Sheila's story was one of quiet courage and gentle hope, a reminder that even in small lives, great kindness can shine. As the days passed, Sheila continued to live her life with grace and strength. She faced each new challenge with a smile, ready to help those around her. Though her world was simple, it was full of warmth and love, proving that true happiness comes from the heart. In every step she took, Sheila showed that kindness was a choice, a way to make the world a better place, one small act at a time. And in that, she found her own quiet joy. Sheila was working her usual shift at the grocery store. It was a busy afternoon, and the small shop was filled with customers looking for their daily needs. The bell above the door jingled every few minutes as people came and went. Sheila moved quickly behind the counter, scanning items, handling money, and greeting each person with a warm smile. She liked to make the store a friendly place, even if it was just a simple grocery shop. The shelves were lined with fruits, vegetables, bread, and canned goods. The smell of fresh bread from the bakery next door drifted in, mixing with the faint scent of spices. Sheila's eyes scanned the items on the counter, making sure nothing was missed. Her hands worked steadily, but her mind stayed calm and focused. As the afternoon wore on, an elderly man walked into the store. His clothes were simple but clean, and his hair was white and thin. He moved slowly with a small cane, and his eyes looked tired but kind. Sheila noticed him immediately because he seemed to carry a quiet sadness. He carefully picked out a few items, a loaf of bread, some vegetables, a small packet of rice, and a bottle of cooking oil. He moved to the checkout line where Sheila was ready to help him. When it was his turn, the old man placed his items on the counter with care. Sheila greeted him softly. "Good afternoon, sir. Did you find everything you needed?" The man nodded slowly but did not say much. Sheila began scanning the items one by one, her scanner beeping softly. She noticed the man's hands shaking a little as he reached for his wallet. When the total came up on the screen, Sheila saw the old man count his money carefully. He pulled out some bills and coins but stopped halfway, his face growing worried. Sheila watched quietly as he tried to add up the amount. It was clear that he did not have enough to pay for all his groceries. Without a word, Sheila felt a gentle sadness in her heart. She knew that many people in the town lived on small incomes, but seeing someone struggle quietly touched her deeply. She reached into her own purse and pulled out some money, enough to cover the old man's bill. Her hands were steady as she placed the money on the counter. The man looked up, surprised. Sheila smiled gently and said, "Please, don't worry about it. I can pay for you today." The man's eyes widened slightly, and for a moment, he seemed unsure of what to say. Sheila did not wait for thanks. She wanted to help quietly, without making a fuss. The old man looked at her, and a small smile appeared on his lips. Then, in a voice soft and rough from age, he said, "Thank you, young lady." He gave a small nod and picked up his groceries carefully. Sheila watched as he slowly walked to the door, then turned back once and gave her another quiet nod before leaving. Sheila returned to her work, feeling a strange warmth inside. She did not expect any reward or recognition. Helping someone in need was enough for her. But the old man stayed in her thoughts. There was something mysterious about him, the way he moved quietly, the small kindness in his eyes, and the humble way he accepted her help. The rest of the afternoon passed by quickly. Sheila helped other customers and finished her shift with the same care she always showed, but she kept thinking about the old man. Who was he? Why did he seem so different from others? And why did his small nod of thanks feel like it carried a deeper meaning? That evening, when Sheila walked home, she thought about how small acts of kindness could change a day. She remembered the look on the old man's face, the mix of gratitude and something more, perhaps pride or shyness. It made her realize that everyone has a story, and sometimes the hardest part is simply accepting help at home. Sheila told her mother about the day. "There was an old man at the store," she said. "He was struggling to pay, so I helped him. He only gave me a small nod, but it felt like he was really thankful." Her mother smiled softly. "That's the kind of kindness that matters," she said. "You did a good thing." The next day, Sheila returned to work with the same gentle spirit. She did not expect to see the old man again, but a part of her hoped he might come back. Sometimes, small connections like these could brighten even the hardest lives. As days passed, Sheila continued her routine. She worked at the store, went to college, and helped those around her. But she never forgot the old man's quiet gratitude. It reminded her that kindness was not always loud or grand. Sometimes, it was found in a simple nod, a gentle smile, or a small gift given without asking. One afternoon, a few weeks later, the door chimed again. Sheila looked up and saw the old man walking slowly inside. This time, he carried a small bag of fresh fruits and a hand-knitted scarf. He came to the counter and placed the gifts before Sheila. "For you," he said softly. Sheila's eyes filled with surprise and gratitude. "Thank you, sir," she said, touched by the gesture. The old man smiled again, that same quiet smile, and nodded. "You helped me when I needed it. I want you to have this." Sheila accepted the gifts with a warm heart. The scarf was soft and colorful, and the fruits were fresh and sweet. It was a small exchange, but it spoke of respect and a connection beyond words. From that day on, Sheila and the old man shared a quiet friendship. Sometimes, he would come to the store just to say hello, or share a story from his past. Sheila listened carefully, learning about a life filled with hardships and joys. She saw in him a reminder that everyone, no matter their age or struggle, carried a story worth hearing. The grocery store was more than a place to buy food. It became a place of kindness and connection, where Sheila's small acts of care brought light to others. And in helping the old man, Sheila found a deeper meaning in her own life. The power of simple kindness to heal and to connect. Each time Sheila saw the old man's gentle smile, she remembered that sometimes, the smallest gestures could carry the greatest love. She knew that her heart, open and kind, was a gift not only to others, but to herself as well. And in that quiet truth, Sheila found strength to face each new day with hope and courage. After finishing her shift at the grocery store, Sheila stepped out into the cool evening air. The sun was dipping low, casting soft golden light over the quiet streets. She pulled her thin jacket tighter around her, and started walking toward her small apartment. The day had been long and tiring, but she felt a gentle warmth inside, the quiet happiness that came from helping someone in need. The streets were peaceful, with only a few people passing by. Sheila liked this time of day, when the world seemed to slow down a little. She noticed the smell of fresh bread from the bakery nearby, and smiled to herself. It reminded her of simple joys in life, like a warm loaf of bread or a good meal after a busy day. Her apartment was modest but cozy. It was a small room with a bed pushed against the wall, a wooden table by the window, and a bookshelf filled with worn but loved books. Sheila loved to read, especially stories about kindness and courage. Those stories gave her strength during hard times. Sheila put her bag down on the floor and took a deep breath. She felt tired but peaceful. She went to the small kitchen corner and began preparing her dinner. The kitchen was simple, with a small stove and a few pots and pans. She had bought some fresh vegetables and rice earlier in the day, and tonight she planned to make a simple vegetable stir-fry as she chopped the vegetables. Her mind wandered to the old man she had helped at the store. She smiled quietly, remembering the small nod of thanks he had given her. It was a small moment, but it stayed with her. Sheila liked to think that even small kindness could make a difference in someone's day. But beyond that, she didn't give it much thought. To her, it was just one act among many small acts of care that filled her days. While the food cooked, Sheila sat down at the table and opened her notebook. It was her study journal, filled with notes from her college classes. She had a test coming up soon, and she wanted to be ready. The subjects were not easy, but Sheila loved learning. She believed that education was the key to a better future, and she worked hard to keep up with her studies. The evening was quiet except for the soft sounds of cooking, and the occasional chirp of birds outside her window. Sheila took her time, eating, enjoying the simple flavors of the meal she had prepared. After dinner, she cleaned the dishes carefully, making sure everything was neat before settling down with her books again. She checked her phone and saw a message from her friend. "Amina, how was your day?" the message asked. Sheila smiled and typed back, "It was good. Just the usual work and study. But I helped an old man at the store today. It felt nice." Amina replied quickly, "That's so kind of you. You always think of others." Sheila put her phone aside and went back to her studies. The night was peaceful, and she felt calm as she read through her notes. She had dreams of becoming a teacher one day, and every hour of study brought her closer to that goal. She knew the path was not easy, but she was ready to work hard later. Sheila sat by the window and looked out at the stars beginning to shine in the dark sky. The world outside was quiet and still, but her heart felt full. She thought about her family, far away in another town, and wished she could see them soon. Her parents worked hard to support her dreams, and she wanted to make them proud. Thoughts drifted back to the old man again. She wondered about his life, his stories, and what had brought him to the grocery store that day. She hoped that her small help had made things a little easier for him. But she did not expect to see him again or to hear more from him. For Sheila, kindness was something to give freely, without waiting for anything in return. Before going to bed, Sheila took out her journal and wrote a few lines about her day. She wrote about the small moments that made her life meaningful, the people she met, the things she learned, and the simple joy of helping someone. Writing helped her keep her thoughts clear and her spirit strong. Sheila's life was full of small routines, but each one was important to her. She knew that success was not only about big achievements, but also about the quiet strength to face each day with kindness and hope. Though her world was small and simple, it was filled with love and purpose. As she turned off the light and lay down to sleep, Sheila felt ready for whatever tomorrow might bring. She had faith in herself and in the power of small good deeds. In her heart, she knew that even the smallest acts of kindness could light up the darkest days. With a soft smile, Sheila closed her eyes and drifted into peaceful sleep, dreaming of a future where she could help many more people with her gentle heart and strong spirit. The night wrapped around her like a warm blanket, carrying her safely into the next day. The night had settled quietly over the small neighborhood where Sheila lived. The streets were calm, with only the occasional sound of a distant dog barking, or the soft rustle of leaves in the gentle breeze. Inside her modest apartment, Sheila had fallen asleep after a long day of work and study, her thoughts filled with dreams of a better future. The peace of the evening wrapped around her like a soft blanket, lulling her into a deep, restful sleep. But, deep into the night, that quiet was suddenly broken. Sheila was startled awake by a strange noise outside her window. At first, she thought it might be a car passing by, but the sound was different, louder and more urgent. Then came the unmistakable roar of engines, one after another, growing closer and louder until it filled the whole street. She sat up in bed, her heart pounding. The soft night had turned into something else, something strange and unfamiliar. She could hear the sharp click of doors opening, and the low murmur of voices outside. Fear and confusion mixed inside her chest as she hurried to the window to see what was happening. Outside, 3 large black SUVs pulled up smoothly in front of her building. The cars were sleek and shiny, their dark windows reflecting the streetlights. They looked powerful and serious, unlike anything she had ever seen in her quiet neighborhood. The sudden arrival of these cars made the peaceful street feel tense and dangerous. Sheila's hands trembled as she watched the SUVs come to a stop. The engines turned off, and for a moment, everything was silent except for the sound of her own breathing. Then, from each vehicle, men dressed in dark suits stepped out. They moved with purpose and precision, their faces serious and unreadable. Their eyes scanned the area quickly, as if they were searching for something or someone. Sheila felt a chill run down her spine. She had no idea who these men were or why they were here. Her mind raced with questions and worries. Was this some kind of mistake? Were they here for her? The uncertainty made her feel small and vulnerable. The men began to walk toward her building, their footsteps firm and confident. Sheila backed away from the window, her heart pounding harder. She looked around her small apartment, suddenly feeling exposed and unprotected. She wished she could disappear or find a safe place to hide. Her phone was on the table, but her fingers shook too much to reach it quickly. She wanted to call someone, her parents, a friend, the police, but the strange fear kept her frozen. She watched as the men reached the front door of her building. One of them took out a small device and pressed a button. The door buzzed and clicked open. They stepped inside, moving silently up the narrow staircase toward her apartment. Sheila's mind spun with confusion. She had no idea why these strangers were here or what they wanted. Her thoughts flew back to the old man she had helped earlier that day, wondering if somehow he was connected to this sudden and mysterious visit. Sheila's breath came in short gasps as the footsteps grew louder on the stairs. She moved to the corner of her room, her back pressed against the cold wall. Her heart felt like it would burst out of her chest. The door to her apartment handle turned slowly, and the door creaked open. A man stepped inside first. He was tall and serious, wearing a dark suit and a white shirt. His eyes were sharp and kind, but there was no smile on his face. Behind him, 2 other men followed closely, their faces calm but alert. "Good evening, Sheila," the first man said quietly. His voice was calm but carried a strange weight. Sheila stared at him, her mouth dry and her mind unable to form words. "We mean you no harm," he continued. "We need to talk to you about something very important." Sheila's heart raced, but she forced herself to nod slowly. She wanted to understand what was happening, even if it scared her. The man took a small folder from his briefcase and opened it carefully. Inside were papers and photographs. Sheila looked at them, confused but curious. The pictures showed people she did not know, places she had never seen. The man spoke softly, explaining that they were from a special agency and that they had come because of something she had done earlier that day. Sheila listened closely, trying to make sense of the strange situation. The man explained that her act of kindness, the moment she had helped the elderly man at the grocery store, had set off a series of events they had been watching for some time. The old man was important to them, and by helping him, Sheila had unknowingly become part of something much bigger. The men were here to ask for her help. They needed someone kind and brave, someone who could be trusted. Sheila's heart raced with a mixture of fear and curiosity. She had never imagined that a simple act of kindness could lead to this moment, where strangers in suits stood in her small apartment asking for her trust. She thought about her quiet life, her studies, and the dreams she held close. Could she really be part of something so important? The men waited patiently for her answer, their eyes steady but kind. After a moment of silence, Sheila took a deep breath. She looked at the men and nodded. "I will listen," she said softly. "Please tell me what you need." The night air outside was still and calm again. But inside Sheila's apartment, her life had changed forever. The unexpected arrival of the men in suits had opened a door to a new and unknown world, one where kindness and courage could make a difference in ways she had never imagined. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of the city outside. Sheila sat on the edge of her worn-out couch, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. The three men in suits stood before her, their faces serious but gentle. The tension from the night slowly began to ease, as the tallest man, who seemed to be the leader, cleared his throat and spoke. "We want to thank you, Sheila," he said calmly, "for your kindness today. It may have seemed like a small thing, but it means much. More than you realize." Sheila blinked, surprised by his words. "I was just helping someone who needed it," she said quietly. "I didn't think it was anything special." The man smiled slightly. "That's exactly why it is special. In this world, true kindness, helping someone without expecting anything in return, is very rare. It shows who you really are inside. And the person you helped, the elderly man you met at the grocery store, is someone very important." Sheila's heart quickened. "The old man?" she asked, her voice trembling a little. "Yes," the man replied. "He is a wealthy and influential figure, but he doesn't live his life for power or money. He wanted to see the goodness in people, so he tested those he met. When you helped him, you passed that test." Sheila was quiet for a moment, trying to understand everything. She had never thought of herself as special. She had always believed she was just an ordinary girl, doing her best to get through each day. The second man stepped forward, holding a small envelope. "Because of your kindness and character, we want to offer you an opportunity, something that could change your life." Sheila looked at the envelope, then back at the men. "What kind of opportunity?" she asked, curious but cautious. The leader smiled gently. "A scholarship to continue your education. We know you work hard and have dreams, and we want to help you achieve them. There is also a chance for a job with our organization after you finish your studies." Sheila's eyes widened. She had always wished for a chance like this, but never imagined it would come to her. Her family struggled to pay for her college, and this offer was beyond anything she had hoped for. "Why me?" she asked, her voice soft. "There must be many kind people out there." The men exchanged glances before the leader answered. "Kindness without expectation is rare. It's easy to help when you want something back. You helped simply because it was the right thing to do. That shows strength of character and heart." Tears welled up in Sheila's eyes. She felt overwhelmed but grateful. She thought about her parents, her friends, and her dreams of becoming a teacher. This moment was a turning point. The third man reached into his briefcase and pulled out a small card. "This is your contact," he said. "Whenever you need help or guidance, you can reach out to us. We believe in you, Sheila." Sheila took the card carefully, feeling its weight in her hand. The men stood up, preparing to leave, but the leader paused and said one last thing. "Remember, kindness can open doors you never expected. You have a bright future ahead. Trust yourself." As the men left her apartment, Sheila sat back, her heart full of hope and possibility. The unexpected visit had changed everything. What began as a simple act of kindness had opened a new path for her, a path filled with promise, growth, and the chance to make a difference in the world. Sheila knew that her life would never be the same. She was ready to face whatever came next, armed with the knowledge that even the smallest good deed could lead to something extraordinary. The morning sunlight filtered softly through the thin curtains of Sheila's small room, painting gentle stripes of gold on the worn wooden floor. She lay in bed for a long moment, her mind swirling with everything that had happened the night before: the visit from the men in suits, the unexpected offer, and the news about the old man who had tested her kindness. All of it felt like a dream. She blinked slowly, still trying to make sense of the sudden changes in her quiet, simple life. Sheila sat up and took a deep breath, feeling the steady rise and fall of her chest as she calmed her racing thoughts. Her heart was full of emotions: shock, joy, disbelief, and gratitude. For so long, she had lived her days quietly, working hard, studying, and doing what little she could to help others. Now, she faced a future that seemed bright and full of possibilities. She smiled softly to herself. Remembering how a small act of kindness had brought her to this moment, she thought back to the grocery store, to the moment she had paid for the old man's groceries without hesitation. At the time, it had felt natural, something anyone would do. But now she understood that it was more than just a simple gesture. It was a sign of who she was, a person with a good heart and a willingness to help, no matter the cost. That small kindness had set off a chain of events that she never could have imagined. Sheila got out of bed and moved to the window. Outside, the world was waking up with soft birdsong and the warm glow of the morning sun. She watched the people below going about their own lives, each carrying their own stories, challenges, and dreams. It struck her how many small moments passed unnoticed, everyday acts of kindness, smiles, and help given quietly without reward. For Sheila, this new day was different. She felt a sense of hope she hadn't known before. The scholarship and the job opportunity offered by the men in suits were more than just gifts. They were chances to build a better life, to chase her dreams, and to make a difference. Her hard work and kind heart had been seen and appreciated, even in ways she had never expected. As she prepared a simple breakfast, her thoughts turned to her family and friends. She wanted to share the good news, but also to remind herself to stay humble and focused. This opportunity was a responsibility, a chance to prove that kindness and integrity could open doors. She knew she had to work even harder now, not just for herself but for those who believed in her and for the example she wanted to set. Throughout the day, Sheila felt a quiet confidence growing inside her. She studied with more energy, dreamed bigger dreams, and held on to the belief that good deeds, no matter how small, could ripple outward and change the world. She thought about the old man again, hoping he was well, and feeling grateful that their paths had crossed. As evening came, Sheila sat by her small desk, writing in her journal. She wrote about the kindness she had shown, the unexpected rewards she had received, and the new journey that awaited her. Her words were simple but filled with hope and determination. She promised herself to always remember that no act of kindness is ever wasted, that even the smallest good deed can light up the darkest days. Sheila closed her journal and looked around her modest room, feeling a deep peace. The world outside might be uncertain, and the future might hold challenges, but she was ready. She had learned that kindness mattered, that it had power, and that it could change lives, starting with her own. As she prepared to sleep that night, Sheila felt a quiet joy in her heart. She understood now that life's true treasures were not just in money or success, but in the love and kindness shared between people. Her simple act of helping an elderly man had changed everything, and she knew it was only the beginning. With a hopeful smile, Sheila closed her eyes, ready to face the new day with courage and kindness, believing that every small good deed could make the world a little better one step at a time.